Daily Detroit is brought to you in part by your Metro Detroit Best Choice Roofing. Whether it's time to replace your roof, repair it, inspect it, or get your gutters cleaned, Best Choice Roofing provides top-notch roofing services tailored to meet the unique needs of Detroit homes and businesses. They serve the region and inside the city of Detroit too. And let me tell you, as somebody who is in a 100-plus-year-old house, those roofs, Special Challenge and Best Choice Roofing will be up to the job. Find out more at bestchoiceroofingdetroit.com. That's bestchoiceroofingdetroit.com, or call 313-474-7031. That's 313-474-7031. And make sure to support the businesses that support us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan. It is Friday, June 7th, 2024. I am Jer Stays, and today's episode's a little different. Now, the back two-thirds, you're going to get what you normally get, Mr. Devin O'Reilly, Mr. Friday. But here in the front, we're adding this. We're letting you behind the curtain. We're adding this because Norris Howard, that was among the best concerts I personally have seen in my life.
I mean, I've been to some really, really good concerts, so I'm not going to necessarily go that far. It was a great free concert, and it was a great concert considering how quickly it all came together, or at least how quickly it was announced. And you know, people came out, and the crowd was great. I have yet to watch it on the Peacock stream. I actually wanted to do that today. Because I was down sort of in the pit at the front of the stage, and the energy was fantastic. I mean, you know, you ran into people you knew from work, people you knew from school. It felt very, for lack of a better term, very family reunion-ish, and I think that was the vibe they were going for, and I think it worked out.
All they were missing were the foam paper plates.
That's it. And, you know, drunk uncles, which, by the way, I'm not sure because I didn't see it. Was that a dry event?
I believe it was. I didn't see a single official cocktail.
Yeah, I thought that was great because personally, you know, and people I was seeing online were saying like, oh, the crowd looks subdued. No, the crowd was just sober. So like, I think it mitigated a lot of the foolishness that could have happened down there, and it just made it a really nice family-friendly event.
Well, and they didn't need to make money off of it, so that's why they didn't have booze there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Like the booze ends up making the margin on so much stuff nowadays. You know, the numbers come out that it was around 20,000 people that went. I feel like I saw everyone who has ever clicked on anything that we have written or listened to any show we have done, like a good sample of that. I saw so many people. It was crazy. Like you would just turn around, and it was also great, by the way. Thank you to all the listeners who just popped in and said hi. I know some of you messaged me and said that you saw me and they were like nervous to say hi or didn't want to interrupt. I'm so glad to run into people. And it really was that family reunion because, man, it's just people just stopping on the street. Hey, Jer, or all this other stuff is great.
Yeah, I really felt that, you know, and I think there were a few people who also said what's up to me. I wore my DCFC shirt, so I got a lot of love off that. But, you know, in terms of the vibe, I think the vibe was high. I think people, for the most part, were really excited. The energy was great. Even the usual, like, misanthropic, like, oh, here we go, the corporate overlords. Like, there wasn't even that much energy towards it. You know, there was just people who were there to see and enjoy a free concert in an area that had never had free concerts before, and I think it was fantastic.
So many good acts in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I had a feeling Eminem would perform. I don't think a guy with a new album coming out with a you know, program that's being streamed on Peacock is going to miss the opportunity to perform in his hometown. I've seen Big Sean perform like 1 million times between like 2012 and now. So, you know, not to say that I don't think he did well. I think he did fantastic. Just, you know, I've seen him a lot. Honestly, in terms of straight up performance, I thought the Clark sisters were amazing. And I'm not a churchy person. But, you know, we be singing, Jer. I thought for an 80-year-old person, Diana Ross sounded great, looked great. And I think all in all, you know what I wish? I wish there was more techno. I wish there would have been more of it. I don't care if movement was last week, a couple weeks ago. Should have been more techno.
Yeah, I really like the tribute to J Dilla and J Dilla's mom.
Oh, 1,000%, 1,000%. And I love the fact that somebody had the wherewithal to program that, and obviously Eminem executive producing it. He had a say in that, and I really appreciated it. I think the crowd, you I don't want to say you would have to be a deep hip hop head, but you would definitely have to be a hip hop head to really know and love and appreciate J Dilla. I think for the average fan, so I feel like that. I don't want to say fell flat, but I feel like that was kind of a lower point in terms of crowd participation. However, I was glad it was there. And as somebody who is a hip hop head, I would have been kind of upset if there was no mention of J Dilla. So I was very happy that was included.
I was very excited about it too, because I knew in my heart what was going to happen. Like when they talked about, Slum Village and Common and all that, I was like, all right, this is going to be good. Now, Jack White and the Pyrotechnics, man, Jack White still got it.
Yeah, he does, man. And one thing that I was worried. I was like, y'all, we just finished the building. Please don't catch it on fire. I was like, that was concerning. But I thought the performance was great. I thought playing Seven Nation Army that was the right call, because for most people, everybody knows that song, even if you don't know that song. But I think the thing for me, the major takeaway from the entire concert is, if it wasn't in front of a giant Ford sponsored building, if you just watched from Diana Ross to Eminem, and you wouldn't have known it was like a Ford event. And I think that part of it is the part I appreciated the most.
Even with like the video interstitials and stuff, that didn't bug you?
No, they didn't. Well, because first of all, you gotta have breaks, and second of all, none of them really, like, only one I think focused solely on Ford and what they were doing. There was no Ford commercials. There was no like come by the Mach E for 0% down, like 0%. There was none of that. There was, here's the stuff we're doing. Here's what the use case and the function of this building will be. Here is some of the groups that are in this building or in this neighborhood already. And here's the impact that we either have already had or are trying to have. I think that was tonally a much better way to approach it. I think it was important to bring in a lot of known Detroiters to sort of co-host and MC it. So all in all, I think it was a really solid event. Especially considering that they didn't have to make money on it, didn't have to really deal with, trying to blow people out of the water. I think most people walked away really happy about that concert and almost saying, I heard a common refrain of like, hey, are they going to do this again? Which I think is the best praise.
Right. And I want to mention that flex of Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors, being on one of like the pre-videos. I was like, that showed a lot of good cross-town kind of collaboration, which I think we need that in the city.
Man, GM and Ford better become best buds, because the more they innovate with one another and use their competition with one another, the more they're going to be able to compete and stand against the eventual wave of what's coming from China. And I think that's part of this station is more than just Ford bringing some people downtown and reinvesting in the city. No, this is something they have to do. They have to innovate. They have to do something different, because if they don't, the current paradigm will not work against eventually what will be a major cloud that moves into the Detroit auto industry, which is the specter of China.
You mentioned about maybe doing this again, because obviously it shouldn't be a concert venue all the time, but should there be kind of the Detroit family reunion once a year?
Yes. Here's one thing that I love about Detroit in the summertime that I think we need to lean into more is that we actually have pretty great summers. We usually have summers that don't have a lot of rain. We rarely get tornadoes outside of the one we got last week. But we don't get extreme weather events very often. And I think we should really take advantage of that, especially considering that half the year it is freezing and we have to be inside. I think it should. I think it should be a yearly thing. I know you're not going to be able to bring Eminem and Diana Ross and all that every year, but yeah, because Mopop's gone, and that was a thing that kind of filled the gap, like the post movement gap, and after the fireworks and all that. Yeah, absolutely, we should have this be a yearly thing. Maybe have it in late July or early August, kind of when there's nothing really going on. Yeah, we should totally bring it back.
All right. Well, did you go to the concert? Do you have thoughts about what we talked about? dailydetroit@gmail.com. Norris Howard, good to check in with you, man. Thanks for making some time, and we'll talk next week.
Absolutely, man. And everybody who went to the concert, make sure y'all pop some Claritin, because, man, that cottonwood got us going, man. The allergies going crazy.
Two Devons in 1 week. What did the people do to get that, to deserve 2 Devon episodes in 1 week? Devin O'Reilly.
Well, I mean, Mackinac happened, Michigan Central happened, and then I'm obligated to be here by contract on my normal Friday. So you got me for this.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to put a little cards on table with folks, because there's that huge concert that will have happened when you're hearing this. We're recording a little bit before it. So I'm excited about this concert.
It's going to be quite an event. We have to fudge it a little bit and record on Thursdays just before the concert is actually taking place. But I'm already seeing the reverberations in my commute into downtown. It looks like Michigan Avenue is completely closed at Michigan Central. Basically, I'm thinking. This is just I had to reroute from like Rosa Parks to, gosh, I want to say almost the Lodge. It looks like it's closed.
Wow. Are you going?
No.
Really?
People think I can't tell you.
You're a man about town.
I can't tell you how many people have asked me if I'm going or assume that I'm going and like I might see them there. First of all, there's going to be a 500,000 people there, so I'm probably not going to see any one individual. Wouldn't probably see one individual person. But I was so honored to be able to go and check the train station out with you and the Daily Gang. That was nice because there was like maybe all of 15, 20 people in there. We could wander around and look at it. That filled my cup. And I've wandered the grounds, of course. We've had events there over at the book depository. So I've gotten my fill of Michigan Central for now. I do not need to be in the masses and masses of people. It's not my thing. If you know me, you know that's not what I'm about. I don't even know if you know this, Jer. I hate concerts.
What?
I hate concerts. I haven't been to a concert in 10 years, and I'm trying to think of who that was. I think it was the Black Keys at Joe Louis.
I am sitting here, mouth agape.
I hate concerts. It's all
okay.
the masses
So
of
what
people.
is it? What is it about them you do not like?
It's everything all put together. It's the tribulation of getting your tickets to the concert, paying exorbitant. Concerts are so expensive now, exorbitant amounts of money to go to the concert, and then like you're just masses of people, and then you have to sit there and watch an act. And I don't know if there's anybody currently like touring that I care that much about that I'm like, I have to see this person live. I have to be there when it all happens. I'll listen to the music. I'll enjoy it in my own, in my own soundtrack of life. I don't need to be with all those people. I don't need to have, basically stadium prices or more for drinks and food. And like, it's a whole thing. It's too much. Maybe it just goes back to, there's no current act. I'm not like a current music lover. Actually,
what's the top of your playlist?
Oh God, it's everywhere. I like reggaeton a lot, honestly, especially in the summer when the months are warm. I'm a really big reggaeton fan. I'm incredibly eclectic. Also, a lot of like country, which people might be a little surprised by. Country for summer jams, or speaking this very seasonal. I'm a man of seasons. I drink with the seasons. I listen to my music with the seasons. So right now, it's a lot of kind of Spanish Caribbean inspired music, a lot of country inspired music. I'll always throw down some hip hop because that's kind of like the original music that got me really interested in music in general. So there's always a little bit of that on the playlist, especially stuff from like 98 to 2006, 7, 8. But No, Jared, not huge on concerts. I saw the Rolling Stones. That's the one. I think the last concert I saw was the Rolling Stones in 2016.
Wow. I have so many questions. What about smaller venues?
I would be down for that. A smaller venue. I think a part of it is the venue, the traffic,
So like, I'm a little bit older. This is gonna date me, but like Letters to Cleo is coming to the Magic Bag in Ferndale.
Okay.
Would you do the Magic Bag or something like that?
If somebody I really liked, listen, okay. I mean, I'm gonna put my cards on the table. Like, I have a lot of interests here, right? I have a lot of passions and a lot of interests. I'm not someone who like seeks out like new bands or like really like, I'm not a music hipster whatsoever. I am a music normie, a total music normie.
Reggaeton, is that normie?
I mean, Daddy Yankee. I mean, he's pretty popular now.
Okay.
And you get to some of the, Bad Bunny, like those are popular now. They weren't. I mean, I'd probably listened to them like a few years ago, but they're more popular now. But I think they become, because that genre of music has become popular. But no, I don't seek out music necessarily. I kind of just vibe with what comes to me. And if I like a certain song, I'll go on Spotify and I'll find similar songs. And Sophie Tucker, that's the most, if anyone knows Sophie Tucker, now you're getting me to drop like the real, I'm sure they're more popular than I realize, but that's my like, oh, I really like them. They've done songs that you would know, but they're also kind of a little more like, they're like more house music. I like house music.
I do love house
like
music as well.
A summer day drinking session,
Have you ever been to like a house festival or something like that? So I have so many wonderful memories. I went to the Backpack Music Festival years ago. This is before Belle Isle was taken over by the state. And there were like 4 DJ tents, beautiful sun, wonderful beats, like beats so calm that like dogs could be out and it was okay without, like it was okay for sound. Like, would you do something like that?
I like that, but the festival part, no, veto on that. Here's what I'll do, because it's basically the same vibe. Motor City Wine, Old Miami, some of these day parties, TV Lounge, like during the day.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's just enough.
Man, it's
for
been
me.
forever since I've been to TV
Right?
Lounge.
I know, you're getting me nostalgic for it, but that's the type of vibe that I would go for. Or even like the day party. They still might do them in Greektown. Like Exodus and Level 2 used to do day parties on like Saturdays and Sundays. That's my vibe.
All right. Well, I would love to hear what your vibe is. dailydetroit@gmail.com. I feel like I learned something new about my friend today.
Devin does not like concerts.
But you have been places.
I have been places. That doesn't stop. I got to fill my days somehow. I went to a place that I think has gotten pretty popular on Instagram. This place seems to have done a pretty good job. That's how I first picked up on them. Nuevo Soul, which is in a really random place. It's really hard for me to describe. Their address is 220 Congress. So basically, you picture Congress Avenue. When I did this, I walked out of my office, walked down Woodward, hit Congress, turned right, walked past London Chop House, past the Penobscot, past like the Tropical Smoothie Cafe, and it's right there past the Tropical Smoothie Cafe on the right. Like almost in an alley, like built into an alley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a really random place. They have like a covered patio inside the alley with like murals and stuff, so that's kind of a vibe.
Whoa, this is huge. I mean, this sounds a lot better than... I used to
hidden
work
gem.
a corporate job in the Penobscot, and that area after 5 p.m. was just...
It is, and so I worried about that. And so I was a little kind of apprehensive about what this was all going to be about. It's kind of a Mexican-Korean fusion. So they have birria tacos, which is, people are kind of really onto that now. Birria, where it's like a sauce, almost like a really thin sauce that you dip it into. They have birria tacos, quesadillas, and ramen. But then they also have Korean fried chicken. Basically, you can get it as like a sandwich. You can get it as like
That's really in right now.
Wings. Yeah. So I got the Korean fried chicken sandwich. You pick your sauce. I got the spicy soy honey, which is really, really good. So chicken sandwich was amazingly cooked. It's a lunch spot. I love downtown lunch spots, but it's open late. And it also has a full cocktail bar. So I got a really interesting mezcal cocktail that was just delightful, and full bar, all that. A really cool spot. It's hard to find. So you're going to have to Google it unless you're really good at your downtown navigation.
And I assume you took some photos.
I took a few photos. We'll throw those up, right?
Yeah, on the Instagram. On the gram. We'll do it for the gram.
We'll throw those up on Instagram. Check them out. It's a really cool vibe, really cool spot. I hope you go there for lunch. You can go there for dinner too. So Nuevo Soul, check them out. Check them out on Instagram, because that I think is the best way to kind of get the idea of kind of what they're about. So I'll be back.
You mentioned about Instagram. I posted something about a little spot that I like in Hamtramck a lot called Halal Desi. And people lit me up because I didn't tag their Instagram. But they didn't have an Instagram. I think it's so fascinating how many places have Instagrams, but then others that are really good don't have Instagrams at all. I think this is an interesting dichotomy.
It is. It definitely is a line in the sand. I think you're either You're either a business that uses Instagram and it's a benefit to you and you see places. I mean, we are in that culture right now where Instagram can put you on the map. If you have some, sizzle reel of like reels, literally sizzle reels of your food and your drinks and the vibe and everything, people, that alone can get people. And then you have restaurants that just, for whatever reason, they just don't do it. I think some of them should, but I think some of them are perfectly fine not doing it. I mean, I think, we have places like Alamere and Dearborn, like they don't need an Instagram. You know what it is. You know what you're getting. They're not going to tempt you any more than you already know with an Instagram. But yeah, there are certain places that just don't need it. You just know they exist. But that is kind of a line in the sand. You're either a restaurant that leans into social media or you're one that kind of leans into word of mouth. I think both can work.
I think some places should just do like one photo and just be like, if you know, with like hours and address. Mm-hmm. Something very basic like that to like just find out where it is. I do think it like kind of serves different clientele in that case. Like if you want somebody from out of town to come to your spot, you need to be on the gram.
You do. Anytime I've traveled to a different city, like what's the first thing I do? I go on Instagram and I start searching whatever city, restaurants, bars. Like I'm going to Newport for work in a couple months. Newport, Rhode Island. I don't know anything about Newport, Rhode Island. I'm going to a conference there. I'm searching Newport bars, Newport restaurants, downtown Newport. That's how I'm going to base where I go on. That's it. That's what else am I going to do? I guess I could Google it, but I'll maybe do that. But yeah, Instagram has become really the way to kind of create your trip if you're going on vacation somewhere, I think.
For sure. Now, we got some interesting feedback on our episode about Michigan Central. I think we'll loop back to it a little bit because there's just so much to unpack with it. We obviously talked with Robin Runyon and Norris Howard, but this is Michigan Central Week. But I wanted to address a specific piece of feedback that I thought was interesting, and it's kind of repetitive from the same kind of angle. I think a lot of people were a little upset that we use the word mobility. And to me, it's just in my lexicon. And I think that mobility is like a big part of the future of what's going to happen in investments in Detroit and everything else. And I feel like we kind of like need to look at the future and maybe even address this because one person literally called us idiots.
Well, I won't respond to anything too outlandish or inflammatory, but I actually had mobility in my title at one point for work. I was the director of mobility initiatives, so I'm clearly familiar with this term.
I figured you were, and I am too. But I wonder if we need to do like a Mother May I Step Back.
Yeah, I know. So like, it is one of those things where like I'm okay. This is where I'm going to kind of sound like maybe an a-hole, but like that's the term that's going to start being used more. You're not going to hear it less. You're going to hear it more, and so you can kind of call it whatever you want. But we have nothing else. We have no other blanket term that includes drones that fly, drones that are in the water, motorcycles, electric vehicles, combustible engine cars, light rail. I'm leaving out probably half the stuff. Autonomous robots that deliver you food. What is all that?
Technology for charging roads.
What is all that? It's mobility. We haven't come up with a better term, and it's almost too late to come up with a new one because that one is being advanced right now. Like, what do you call all that? It has to be mobility. There's no other catch-all.
And I also think it's a harbinger of things to come because the way we did things before will not be the way we do things in the future. And I know like Metro Detroit is all about the car, but I implore you to start to open your mind a little bit about this. Otherwise, I guarantee you will be left behind.
You will be, yeah. I mean, you can shake your fist at the clouds all you want, but mobility is kind of what we're going to be talking about. So get familiar with the term. Michigan Central is all about mobility. That is literally the epicenter for mobility.
So let's talk about what's there in that regard, because I think, people see, with this train station reveal, a lot of folks are like, oh my gosh, all these beautiful pictures. What's going in? A big part of that is that mobility stuff. And I saved this question specifically for you because you do, and you previously had mobility in your title. What's such a big deal about that mobility piece about Michigan Central and, of course, the book depository next door, which has that innovation space?
The way I would explain it to people is that there are these innovation hubs, like whatever your knowledge of kind of innovation. You think of Silicon Valley, or you think of New York City, perhaps. You think of Austin. You think of the Boston area, and you think, oh, that's where like the big tech startups are happening. That's where these $1 billion things are happening. But they're all over the place. Like all of those big companies, the next unicorn company, they're in all different sectors. Maybe it's finance, maybe it's in some kind of medical technology, yada, 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 whatever. The point with this is Michigan Central is really going to be the national and perhaps global center on the future of mobility. So it's very focused. I mean, it's not focused in the sense that mobility is, as we said, a broad term, but it's focused in the sense that all the technology, all the partnerships, all of the stuff you're going to see relates to moving people and things more efficiently and more innovative throughout. And that's why we talked about roads that charge them, or roads that charge the cars as you drive on them. Perhaps rail, definitely drones, definitely electric vehicles, definitely autonomous vehicles, motorcycles. There's a company in the Book Depository, Michigan Central campus, that's a startup. It's literally called Wheel Me. It's just a friggin' wheel, but it's an autonomous wheel that you can put anything on it. So picture like a wheel, like a unicycle wheel with a big stackable thing on top of it. And you can just put anything on it and then send it to wherever you want it to go. So we're literally talking about a single wheel that moves autonomously. That's mobility. That's the future. And that's what Michigan Central is all about, is all these different disparate things coming together, all about moving people, goods, things around more efficiently.
If somebody wants to be involved in this and get more opportunities in it, because I think there's going to be a lot of jobs. There are a lot of jobs around all this stuff. There are companies that don't get a ton of press coverage, which I think we're going to try to do a better job of, that are getting millions of dollars in investment. How can someone out there position themselves to be like, hey, I want to be around this space? Because look, the whole car factory model and all that other stuff is really, it's not gone, but it's going to move further and further into the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I think I don't want to give a non-answer or a TBD, but I think that what Michigan Central does will be the answer. So, for instance, Michigan Central has been positioned as an open platform where people can come, see what's going on, see for themselves, hear for themselves. I mean, I think the best way is to actually come out for yourself and talk to some people. Their
website has a ton of resources.
Everything I'm hearing is it's going to be very open. So I can't say for sure. Talk to me next week when I've gone and wandered around a little bit more. But it seems like they're going to be very open and forward facing about what they're doing in the community, how it impacts the community, how it impacts the broader city and region. I think it's a little bit of a TBD on that. But everything I've heard is that it's going to be kind of, come see what we're all about. Come see if you can get involved somehow. Every startup, I've talked to probably 8 startups that are located at the Book Depository in Michigan Central, which is called New Lab. And they're all very open to partnerships, to talking with people about how they can make, their technology work for them, or how you might be able to work for that company.
I was just thinking about this. You could scroll back to our episode about Black Tech Saturdays. They get together on a regular basis, and they're everywhere. They do events at various places.
But at Michigan Central a lot.
Exactly. And it's an opportunity to meet a bunch of people who are like really passionate about this stuff and really passionate about building a community where there are on-ramps for folks. And I personally have gotten to talk to both of the founders of that, not only on the show, but I ran into them up at Mackinac. They had a great event up there too. Like, there is some amazing stuff happening. And I really encourage folks to take a moment and process it. I know this is all a lot of change. And as a longtime resident, I feel that. But there are so many opportunities in Detroit now if you put yourself forward. And I think that's the way to approach it, at least to me.
I think you're absolutely right. You got to put yourself out there. You got to go out and seek it out yourself. You got to get on the ground. You and I know better than anybody. I think, part of both of our joint and separate success in life has been about getting out, wandering around, meeting the people where they are, finding out what's going on for yourself.
As Norris says, we have to be in these streets.
We have to be in these streets. And Jer, you and I can't think of two more people who are in these streets.
Devin O'Reilly, thank you so much for sharing a hidden gem of a restaurant with me and, helping people walk through a little bit of this. Because I think this whole Michigan Central thing, I'm so excited. I think this is I really do believe this is a turning point for the city of Detroit, Metro Detroit, and the state of Michigan. And I just want everybody to be a part of it,
Yeah, go check it out for yourself. Especially if it can't be Thursday night, that's okay. Again, I won't be there either. I'll be watching it on TV, but you can watch it on national TV.
Isn't that so cool?
Or Channel 4. I've seen a lot of people. This is confusion. I want to clear this up because people have said, "Oh, watch it on Peacock. Watch it on Peacock." That's what they're saying nationally. You can just go to Channel 4 and watch it too. So you don't have that Peacock. You can go for it. Watch it on Channel 4.
Remembering my alma mater's.
I remember that.
Yeah, go for it.
There you go. Don't break into the song, Jared.
I did Diana Ross earlier this week.
Well, she's gonna be there.
That's true.
So go experience it for yourself. If not tonight, then in the days to come, because it sounds like it's gonna be just amazing. Go see for yourself.
For sure. With that, I'm Jer Stays.
I'm Devin O'Reilly.
Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes that makes this happen, as well as to our members on Patreon, patreon.com/dailydetroit. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll talk next week.